So thank you, Mary, for meeting with me today. I appreciate it. I just want to touch base with you, see if there's any questions that you have with our last conversation that we had, talking about the process and the Band-Aid plan and everything. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so at this time.
Okay. Well, and whenever you do, just remember, I'll be more than happy to answer them and help you in any way. And
Okay.
if I don't know, I'll always find the answer out somehow.
Okay, sounds good.
So, kind of touching base on what we talked about last time, we met at the end. We kind of made a plan as to what would happen next. What we'll do probably for like the next 3 visits, if not more, is just kind of get to know you and your family a little bit more. Gather information about your strengths, your needs, your culture, your family as a whole. And what we do is we put all that information in a thing that we call the discovery. And what the discovery does, it is a working document, which means it's constantly being updated, changed, the same as, your own life. It's never stays the same. It constantly changes. We change that based around your guys' life and how things go. And what we do is we really focus on your whole family, what your strengths are, how you guys, like how your families run, each roles, the different things that the family consists of. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So what I will be doing is working with you on gathering the information from you as well as your husband. Sorry, not your husband. Your grandma. Let me strike that. Your mom, Ruth.
Yes.
Sorry.
My daughter's grandma. Yep.
And what we'll do is I'll gather all the information from you guys. Your strengths, how you guys run things, who's the head of the household, what do you guys see as needs and barriers, and, those strengths towards those needs and barriers. And then what I'll do is, the YSP will also work with Beth on getting all of her strengths, her information, and everything the same as me. And what we do is we both me as well as the YSP will then give all of the information to Allie, our facilitator, who will then develop this documentation. And this documentation will then be reviewed by you guys. You guys can correct anything that's in it, take anything out, whatever you don't feel should be in there or even added. We will do that. We will correct the documentation to your guys' needs. And then what we would do is we would give it to all of our team members, so to speak. Your natural supports that's involved with the team. I know CYS is involved. Beth, the mobile therapist, is involved, as well as Crystal. So we'll give them this document before the first team meeting, so that they see all of your guys' strengths. They see your culture. They see how your family works, so that when we start doing brainstorming based around the needs that you guys have and action steps, they keep all of those strengths and culture and your guys' way of doing things in mind, so that we're not giving you something that is completely far-fetched. I know when I went through this process, I really liked the fact that the documentation was given, because before I had these team meetings, a lot of the plans was based on things I had no idea how to do, because it wasn't nothing that had to do with my family.
Right.
So this definitely helped me and my family to get that word out there and explain it in a way that, I don't have to say it all the time, but they know.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So, to kind of get started, is it okay first if I write things down just to kind of help me to remember so I get everything correct, and also for you not to repeat yourself?
Sure is.
Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about yourself. Give me a little bit about your family and kind of how we got to where we are at today.
Okay. Well, leading up to today, we did have a situation with my daughter, as you're probably aware by now, where she did run away from home. While we are a closely bonded family, in recent months, we've had a lot of arguments, picking at one another, a lot of tension in the household.
Mm-hmm.
And, I believe that that's what led up to Bethany leaving the house without our knowing in the middle of the night, just due to a lot of the arguing and tension that's kind of been interfering with our family dynamic recently.
That's understandable, and I think, that's a great, you said it really, really great how, you guys are a close family, but it tends to sometimes with the arguing, that seems to be, the biggest barrier. Is that a need that you would like to have our first team meeting based around?
Definitely.
And I think, that's definitely something that we could definitely help you with, we kind of, with our other families and youth that we worked with, we definitely had a similar situation to where we helped with that, and it seemed like getting those natural supports and getting those providers all together definitely helped this family to kind of strengthen their bond.
Okay.
And that's one thing that we definitely do want to always make sure that those natural supports as bonds, as well as the bonds of like who we call core family, which is you guys in the home, you rebuild that relationship, because ultimately that's what's going to help you through the process, as well as after the process is done, is that building of the relationship and being able to understand your guys' strengths as well as understand those barriers, so that you can build upon the strengths and not necessarily focus on those barriers.
I think that would be really helpful. We are really wanting to rebuild these relationships that, have been damaged. We don't want it to get too far gone. We would really like to address it now, in order that there aren't any, in order that it doesn't have any further effect on my daughter. And, in terms of how we kind of operate as a family, we're very private people. So you can imagine when CYS became involved due to our daughter running away, we were mortified. We're not the type of family that likes to air out our dirty laundry.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are very private. So it was a very mortifying experience for us. So we are really hoping that we can rebuild these relationships with one another and avoid any situations going forward.
And that's absolutely something that we can, definitely help you guys with, is building those relationships, because ultimately, being the close private family that you guys are, and I definitely can tell with talking with you guys the last time, you guys are open to talking to each other and open to help, which is awesome, especially being so private, that we will also keep in consideration the confidentiality, and making sure everybody does keep everything confidential, so that, kind of, so to speak, with the airing of the dirty laundry is not done.
That'll be great.
So kind of talking a little bit about the providers. Who do you see as being helpful?
In terms of our, the professionals that we are working with, I think that our CYS caseworker, Michelle, has been very helpful and understanding up to this point. She's made us feel a little bit more comfortable, myself and my mom, as far as, what's happened. I don't feel that there was really any judgment, placed on us. So I do believe in that way. She's been helpful.
Good.
And just kind of making it clear what needs to happen going forward. And our Bethany has started a therapy in the home with Beth. I find that they've already been able to build a great rapport between the two of them. And then Beth usually does debrief with us after her session with Bethany, just to kind of let us know how things are going, and that's really been helpful as far as that. And Bethany has also recently started with Crystal, independent living, and I guess that's something to kind of help her um, learn some basic life skills, and she can earn rewards, I guess, for um, completing certain things that sort of correspond with what's happening in her own life with school and here at home. And so, I mean, I feel that so far everything's been positive.
Oh,
The
awesome.
folks involved have been really helpful. So,
Oh, good. And it definitely seems like, they definitely bring some strengths to the team as well, if you decide to kind of have them part of it. Speaking of, with them involved, it kind of helps with that open communication, which does seem like that's a big thing for you because you said that, one of the biggest strengths you see with Beth, the mobile therapist, is the open communication. So having them part of the team, which is those team meetings that we discussed, we just set up the date for. Having them part of the team would help with that open communication, making sure everybody's on the same page, making sure everybody's working towards the goals and the needs that you have. It would having them on the team would help with brainstorming different options that we may not have known, but ultimately they brainstorm the options. You guys get to choose which ones work. But that definitely will help with kind of them supporting you guys as well as the support of being able to have those different options based around, of course, your needs and your culture.
Okay.
So does it sound good to have them participate on the team?
I think that would be great if they'd be willing.
So that's great. So what we can do is what we'll do is I'll touch base with Mary in regards to getting them involved. She'll explain the process to them. She will also explain what the team meeting it consists of so that they're ready and they're on the same page as to what we're all doing as well.
Okay.
Now, is there anybody that you've seen as being supportive in the past, but you don't seem to talk to lately?
Well, I do have a friend. Her name is Susie. We're good friends, and she has a daughter around Bethany's age. But I haven't reached out lately, only because I've been a little embarrassed about the situation. I was a little embarrassed, sort of the direction things are going within the family. So even though I do see her as still a dear friend, I haven't reached out lately because I've been a little embarrassed about the situation and having to explain what transpired to get to this point.
Oh, that's absolutely.
So.
I agree with you completely. I not agree, but I understand you completely because I did the same thing. Whenever I first got in this, my biggest thing was, I ended up getting in CYS because of the truancy, and I wasn't aware of the truancy issues. And then it kind of de-escalated because we as well are very private, and we ended up to where CYS was involved, and then we had juvenile probation involved. And I'm like, I go from having no services, everything going great, to all of a sudden, all these people were involved.
Right.
And then, of course, neighbors and friends will talk, and, they always get this all miscued, and like nothing is really said to you, but it's all whispers.
Right.
So I completely understand where you're at with that. One thing I did was, because I always thought my good friend of mine, that she was talking a lot about me and stuff with my situation that occurred and stuff. So I kind of cut myself off from her for a while. And then once we started getting into the process and stuff, my FSP that I had, kind of discussed with me the importance of maybe even rebuilding those relationships, getting them involved with the team meetings and stuff. And at first I was a little bit hesitant, I gotta say, but once we got them involved, I realized that, my friend wasn't talking about me. She was actually standing up for me, and she understood the things that was going on. So then I started opening up to her more. She ended up being a great help with our situation and helped us with the truancy altogether.
Okay.
So that's kind of a little bit why we ask about, people who you don't really talk to lately, so we can maybe even explain to you how even in the past, like in the future or, whatnot, we could always get them involved, rebuild that relationship up, and also, give you some more support because, we know Susie was there to support you then. And we know, of course, with Susie, she probably respected your privacy at that time and everything. And she understands that you guys are very, very private, that, she'll continue to do that even as a team member.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I would definitely like to let the cat out of the bag with her, so to speak. It's been a weight on my shoulders, so I think I'd be open to possibly a conversation with her about joining the team, and with others behind me. Maybe we could get this out in the open and see kind of what happens from there.
Oh, absolutely. And I can always support you with that whole conversation too. Even the next time we meet, we could always see if either Susie's available, either via phone or even to come in person. And I can explain the process to her, how it works. And then we can explain like how both, she could help you as well as you can help her and kind of do that reciprocal.
That would be helpful.
Okay. So we can always set that up for the next time or whenever she's available.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that seems to help you in the past, or is that?
I have my brother Matt. He's always been my best friend. And he's always there. He actually went with me to our family court hearing. He was there to support me that day, and he's someone that understands, and he's someone that's always been there for me. So I mean, maybe he'd be open to acting as a member of the team as well.
Okay. And we can definitely get him involved too. We can do the same thing as we're doing with Susie. We can have both of them come together and talk to them both at the same time or even separate. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
We can always do. So I know that I did see on my referral that I got from you that you guys are extremely large in your church. What is it that you guys do there?
We do attend weekly, and Bethany actually volunteers through with various activities that the church does to assist in the community. And we try to do as much as we can as far as that's concerned. So,
awesome. What is some of the things that Beth does in the community?
Just recently, actually, for the holiday, she went out and delivered turkeys to members of the community that are in need, so that they have something for their Thanksgiving holiday.
Oh, awesome.
Right, yeah. And so, I mean, it's so many things. It's hard to remember off the top of my head, but that was, the most recent
thing.
Yeah.
And we kind of asked this question because, with communities and clubs and different organizations, those tend to be supports as well. A lot of times, a lot of people think, just family and friends are supports, but we also include the community because a lot of times some of the community outings or adventures is considered coping skills, as well as also could be considered really great supports. Kind of case in point, with me, I was with us, we had a small home, but we had a large team. So instead of us going to a professional building, and making this very professional, I wanted our team meetings to stay personable. So we actually worked with my church and had them in the church cafeteria area, which seemed to be much more comfortable. And then it ended up being to where the pastor got involved, and then the pastor helped us with working with little Jacob, and it seemed to be like really beneficial because then I had that support of the church that I didn't even know I had at that time. So we just kind of like to see, what's involved, how maybe we can even include that like in our discovery, and it could also be based around the brainstorming and action steps that we use. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
And, that's definitely one thing, you guys being active in the church, and with Bethany being really seems to enjoy, doing all those different activities. That could be something that we could use
Yeah,
as a
definitely.
brainstorming.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, I know we talked a lot about, supports and, the need and, your guys' culture of being so close and being so private and everything. I just kind of, at this time, just want to touch base with you. See what you're thinking, what you're feeling about, this gathering of information, the program so far, and what you've heard.
So far, I'm pretty happy with the direction we're going. The idea of kind of getting everyone together and keeping everyone on the same page, I mean, sounds great. It kind of alleviates some of my stress, having to remember to update everyone, because I tend to be forgetful, at times with everything going on. And I kind of like how with this whole gathering information, I just feel like we're having just more of a chat, and I don't feel like I'm being given the third degree.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely a little bit more comfortable than some of the, situations I've heard about, or, it's kind of not what I expected, but in a good way.
Oh, good.
So I'm feeling really positive so far.
Oh, good. And I mean, that's exactly what we want to hear, is just making sure that you do feel heard, making sure that you don't feel what we call blamed and shamed. We want this to be a positive experience, because ultimately, with positive experiences, everybody goes off in a positive way, not so, I don't want to say diminished, but just defeated. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you're feeling defeated, you're not going to want to do anything. You're just going to go curl up in bed and just cry.
Right.
And with us, we want it to be something that boasts you up, that makes you feel stronger. So that's why we definitely always want to make sure that you're feeling heard and respected.
Absolutely.
So just to kind of end our little conversation, I just want to touch base with you. I do say, like, the next 3 visits, we're going to just continue to have conversations, gather information. And then at that time, I'll give all the information to Mary, as well as, Ashley will do with Beth. And then at that time, we'll review the discovery. I'll review the discovery with you guys, make those changes. And then at that time, we'll then give out the discovery to everybody before the team meeting.
Okay.
So the next time we meet, we'll just continue to talk.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you.